Hi everyone, welcome to this new video. My name is Teji and my mission is to share my best experience with depression in order to help other people to improve their mental health and also help people that suffer from depression. Today I want to bring to you some exclusive content. Indeed, one of the major improvements that I've made in my mental health journey are due to this concept that I'm about to share in this video. If you enjoy the content, give a like and a subscribe, and also follow me on my Instagram to not miss my announcement. Now, let's get ready for a video. Today, I want to teach to you guys how to be able to assess and understand your own mental health. Now, I see the question coming. I'm pretty sure you may ask yourself, well, Teji, isn't it bad to assess its own mental health? Aren't we supposed to see psychologists to see people that have the required expertise to do so? Well, I want to take our physical health as a comparison. Even though there are doctors that are available to help us recover when we are sick, we still need a minimum required awareness about our body to know when it's not functioning properly. And this is the same thing with your mental health. You need to understand what are the dysfunctionment, what are the symptoms, what are the cause. You need to be able to make all this link by yourself, because this is what will help you avoid repeating mistakes that will lead you to keep nurturing basically the sickness. As we do know what are the factors in which our body is supposed to function in order for us to be healthy, we do know what is the structure of what represents an individual in this mental aspect. That's what I want to introduce to you guys, that could be able to by yourself understand your own mental health and be able to put correction that are going to improve your life in general. So now let's get started. I acquired most of my knowledge on the subject from a psychologist named Paul County from Stanford School of Medicine. However, bear in mind that goal is not to feed you with some basic academic knowledge, but to find a way to apply it into your life. That's why, as per usual, I'm going to use my personal experience as a case study as we go through that subject. So without further ado, let's get into the subject. You can separate your mental life into two branches, which are the structure of self and the function of self. First, we're going to talk about the structure of self. Your structure of self is basically separated between your subconscious and your conscious. The conscious is the part of you that you are aware of. This is where sits all your current thoughts, all your emotion, and all of the things of that kind. Now, the thing is that this conscious is vulnerable because it is subject to all this emotion. It can face fear, confusion, and other emotion of that kind. For that, the other part of your structure of self, which is the subconscious, is going to build something to protect your conscious. This is what is called a character structure, but I'm going to go into that subject a bit later. Now let's talk about the subconscious. The subconscious is the depository of all the things that you are not aware of. This can include trauma, beliefs, deep fears, sometimes genetic, and furthermore. We're going to call these things predisposition. Now, as I said before, the subconscious is going to build what is called a character structure to protect the conscious from all these negative emotions. The thing is, as you are unaware of the component of this character structure, you can engage in behaviors that could be unhealthy for you. And this character structure is the way by which you interact with the world. And this is also what is going to influence your actions and your decision. The implication of that is there is an existence of an I that is going to perform and to behave in order to accomplish what it wants. And these things that is separated from us may want different things from you based on your predisposition. That's why you need to be aware of these things in order to be able to identify this behavior and get rid of them if they are negative for you. And this character structure manifests itself in the function of self. The function of self are all the mechanisms that are going to acknowledge the existence of the I and put in place the action, sometimes automatically, to realize its will, which is protect the conscious. Let's, for example, imagine that you are anxious at the idea of going to an appointment. The funny thing is, it may be possible that you miss this appointment because the function of self did took the action to make sure to protect your conscience from fear and anxiousness. And this process can be found in many different situations. The problem is that certain of these functions are actually unhealthy for us and make us take bad decisions that in the long run affect our mental health significantly and sometimes in the bad ways. This is the reason why it's so important to recognize this mechanism to be able to identify their root and cure the problem. And the good thing is that once you have identified each of these mechanisms, you'll be able to replace them by healthier structure and function of self. Now, I have to be honest with you, this is going to be a very long and challenging process, but this is doable. You are able to, if you put in the effort, change your bad habits, be able to change this structure and this function of self in a healthier way. Now, how does it go into practice? Now I'm going to use with you a case study and explain to you and show you directly how you can replicate this process. So now let's get into my computer and let's go through this process together. Now we are going to go through the case study. I decided to focus on a specific problem on myself in my life and show you how you can recognize what are the predisposition and what are the things that make you behave in a certain way. Let's talk about something that have been a major issue in my life in the recent years, which is eating disorder. Now, first, let's try to identify the pain point. The pain point is what are the things that you're suffering from in your day-to-day life based on this specific subject. So, for example, for eating disorder, I have as pain point the fact that I do extended fasting, sometimes for a few days. I have sometimes a profound unwillingness to eat. Sometimes I've had, unfortunately, certain negative eating experiences, and it's more rare, but it may happen. Sometimes I suffer from intense craving, and when I finally decide to eat, I eat a lot of bunch of things, and then I starve myself again for 2 days. Now let's try to understand the structure of self. You need to question yourself, to ask yourself certain question in order to kind of try to find the root of the problem. First question that you should ask yourself are about history. When did it started, for example, and is it recurrent? What is the frequency of the occurrence of this act? Okay. So for me, for eating disorder, I have written when it started after high school when I entered business school. Yes, is it recurrent? It's not frequent, but it's more periodic. Like, for example, I would eat properly fine for example 1 month, and the next 2 weeks I will start having these problems again. So what can we do with this information? First, for the question of when it started, it can help us to try to find if there was a specific event that created the predispositions that lead you to that problem. Maybe it was a traumatizing experience that I went through, or other kind of predisposition. It's not uniquely events. It could be also your self speech and other kind of stuff. We are just trying to find a timeline here. Okay. Now, is it recurrent? I said no, and it's periodic. Now, what are the things that make me enter the cycle? Could be a good question from that information. Now let's try to find the predisposition. There are only possibilities and maybes. You cannot be sure of what you will answer to this question. These are only you trying to self-reflect and build hypotheses that are going to help you grasp a better understanding of yourself. So I find the easiest way to find this predisposition is to ask the question of what are some negative experiences that you had in this, for example, for me in eating. Now I've listed a certain number of things that may be deeply sitting in my subconscious and that could be influencing my character structure. I've written in pleasant family lunch and dinner. I've had, it's not to spit on my family, but sometimes we fight, things happen, and I have a tremendous amount of eating experiences that I would rather not have had. And even though I have logical enough to understand that things can happen, your subconscious could have still taken that information as, for example, a trauma. So you still need, even if you know that it's not rational and that it shouldn't be a problem for you, you still have to keep it because maybe your subconscious have actually entered that information as a traumatic event. So you need to keep that in mind, and I will explain you what you can do from this later. And I've written also frequent use of fasting as a self-punishment. I would, for example, when I am disappointed about myself, about something that I did not do or something that I didn't succeed or something like that, I would in the past use fasting as a self-punishment and telling myself, okay, you did this or you spent too much money, you're not eating until a certain amount of time, and these are things that could have grew inside of me and bad relationship with eating. So this is important to write also. I've also written lack of gratefulness from family for my past baking experience. I remember during the lockdown, I tried myself into cooking because I was doing a lot of sport at the time. We didn't have much more to do. We were just in the lockdown, and so I would try to bake for my family. Most of the time, I don't. It wasn't even for me because I'm not really into things that have a lot of sugar. So, but I still try to make everyone happy by cooking. But most of the time, they were not really happy with it. So, I'm not saying that it's my fault. I'm just saying that these experiences could have led to the fact that nowadays I really don't like to cook at all. Like there are things that could have influenced that. And the last thing I've written is assimilation of eating with obligation. So this could have also went into the next categories that I'm going to talk about, but this is something that I've really repeated myself a lot, that it is just about surviving and not really as pleasant as people say. I'm not saying that's true, that's just the things that I've repeated myself and that I have as predisposition in my subconscious. The other question you can ask to find your other predisposition can be what are the things that you repeat yourself on a subject, okay? Because your self-speech holds a lot of weight in your belief. The more you repeat yourself a certain information, the more your brain is going to consider it as reality, because it simply cannot make the difference. It only process information. So I've written about the things that I used to repeat myself on the context of eating. Things such as eating is the worst obligation of our existence. Tastes all the same. I don't care. I don't need to eat. Eating is useless. These are things that I've repeated myself a very generous amount of time, and these are things that, in my opinion, without a doubt, have had influence with my relationship with eating. You need to understand that some of this predisposition can be genetic. It's not necessarily that something occurred that caused this. Maybe it's there since you're born, actually, because there are certain people, for example, that are more subject to anxiety. There are people that are more anxious than others, people that are more scared, people that are more paranoid, or that just have lower level of dopamine and a lot of things. You need to understand that it's not a problem if you cannot find all of these things. As you can see, I've been able to do the exercise, but actually it takes a lot of time. I learned all these things about myself through constant self-reflection and all of the psychotherapy works that I've done during the recent years. So don't be discouraged if you cannot as easily find these things that you may have expected. Okay, this takes time, and this is going to require you a lot of critical thinking, self-awareness, and without a doubt being able to get rid of judgment toward yourself. Now we need to identify our character structure, which is, as I explained before, the way by which we interact with the world and the things that influence your action and decision. This character structure makes the link between your predisposition and all your defense mechanisms that could be healthy or unhealthy. So what we're going to do here is, it's basically writing the symptoms of a certain problem and list the way they influence your life. So here again, I have listed a few things that are extended fasting. Well, I talked about it already. Empty fridge. Um, I try to avoid doing groceries so I don't have food in my fridge, so I don't have to cook. And sometimes, even though it is extremely rare, I can face derealization. So these are unhealthy function of selves. And now that we have understood that, we are actually able to find relief, because now you can understand that all of these things that are causing you so much trouble in your life are not actually your fault. It's not that you have a specific problem, you're not crazy, if you know what I mean. You're not incurable. Once you understand all of these things, you can reverse engineering all the process and be able to change things for you and have a better life. And that's what I'm wishing for all of you guys, and that's why I'm doing this exercise with you. And I really wish that it will help you make a difference. Now, where to go from that? As I said before, you find relief because you understand that you aren't a problem yourself. And now, with that, you will be able to build a healthier structure and function of self. So again, I'm going through the same case study with my personal experience. What is the predisposition that we took from the exercise that we did before? Well, we can have as predisposition that my subconscious consider eating as a bad experience. Now, how to build a healthier structure of self? Well, a healthier structure of self would be to consider eating as a good experience, for example. And this goes by kind of debunking all of the events that may have caused you these bad feelings toward the concerned issue. For example, for me, it's about realizing that eating isn't a bad experience. Family fights can happen, and I don't live with them anymore anyway. And I have had very delicious and pleasant eating experience. These are things that I can repeat myself to kind of try to change the belief that is hidden in the subconscious. Now, this is something that take a lot of time, and this is not something that will happen overnight. However, the simple fact of realizing what has caused this issue may be a very significant improvement in this journey. And trust me, this is going to make things much more easier. Now, how to build healthier version of self. This is actually a bit easier for, I think, as it is more practical. So let's see. As a non-healthy function of self, I had extended fasting so I don't have to face a bad eating experience. And an healthier function of self would be to actually try to have better eating experience. For example, I could go eat at my friend's place so that I have a more joyful eating experience. I can find better food alternatives in regard to taste and also cooking time, so it can be more pleasant and less annoying basically. And this is how you can use this process for basically any subject, and you can use it for more significant issues or even little things in your everyday life. Another example I could remember that was actually given by the doctors that I talked about earlier in this video, and this example was a man that has the tendency to lose his keys. Let's say, for example, 2 times in the week he will forget his key and he will get very anxious at work and make a scene, for example. As a predisposition, understand that this person has a very hard time to handle the stress when he loses things. It could be focused just on the fact that this person have in general more stress than an average person, or it could actually be a deeper problem with losing things. And we can only make maybes and possibilities as we don't have a full track history. And once you understand that, you can easily grasp that your character structure wants to prevent you, or at least to help you, to free you from the stress and make it go away or make it not happen. What is the function by which your self is going to protect your conscious from anxiety? Well, you make a scene. Maybe you make a scene so that other people can help you, so you don't have to solve the issue alone. And these are things, these are possibilities that you can make to understand the reason why you behave in certain ways. And once you have found that, you can now say, okay, I know that I have a big problem with stress and I can often lose my keys. So, as an healthier function of self, you can simply implement in your calendar, in your morning routine, a time slot whereby you make sure that you keep your keys in the right place. For example, this is just an example. And the beauty of that is you can basically choose for yourself what are the functions that are the most healthy for you regarding your situation. Now, again, with this example, it can sound easy, and honestly, this is not. It takes a lot of times. This is really challenging mentally, and unfortunately, people face discouragement in this battle of trying to improve and change their bad patterns. However, as I said before, trust me, the relief that you will get just from being able to get just more and more awareness about yourself. It's just gold. It's incredible, and trust me, your life could only and only improve from that point. And the second thing, as we understand better how all these processes work, we are able to make actual change. Even though it is going to take time, we just need to keep going and keep doing these changes so that in a long enough period of time we are in a healthier situation in general. And now that I have told you all of that, I really want to make this the most help you for you as possible, so you can find all of the resources and actually my worksheet. You can find it in the YouTube description. Another way I want to help you is to bring to you a solution to avoid giving up in your process of improvement. And this solution is to have like-minded individuals that support you and that you support too, and with whom you have a singular same goal, which is improve every day your mental life. That's the reason why I created a private community in which you will be able first to find, of course, this piece of content and find other people with whom you can share this journey and actually leveling up together. This private community is entirely free and you can join just now by creating an account by clicking the link in the bio. Well, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give it a like and subscribe, and go follow my Instagram to not miss next announcement. Take care of you, my friend, and I wish you a good day. Bye.